Welcome to today's edition of the Anaglyph Jukebox. You never know what you'll find on the old jukebox. Let's press B31. Okay, we've got Caligula's pleasure ships at Lake Nemi in 3D. Mention the name today, and you'll conjure images of the most monstrous emperor of ancient Rome, a synonym for cruelty and sexual debauchery, Caligula. But not all that is told of the son of the beloved general Germanicus is true or accurate. Let's start with the fact that absolutely no one around him dared call him by that nickname, which he gained as a child accompanying his father with the Roman army. Caligula means little boots, and can't you just see the little lad strutting about proudly as the soldiers looked on and grinned? Officially, he was Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, most often called Gaius, not Caligula. And that story about how the mad emperor made his horse, Seutonius, both a senator and a priest, Seutonius, Josephus, and Diocasius considered this lurid 60-year-old gossip as fact, which was pleasing to the current regime when they were writing their histories. Anthony A. Barrett has written an excellent revisionist version, Caligula, The Corruption of Power, that debunks many of the wildest stories as politically motivated slander. Quote, many stories were spread about Seutonius, originating most likely from Caligula's own humorous quips. Possibly out of a perverted sense of humor, Caligula would pour libations to Seutonius' solace, health, and well-being, and claimed that he intended to co-opt him as his priest. Ancient sources are clear that the horse was never made a consul or a priest. Flash forward 1,405 years. A young cardinal named Prospero wanted to see for himself if the rumors of an ancient shipwreck at the bottom of Lake Nemi, 19 miles south of Rome, were true. He was convinced that he could make out a lattice of wooden beams in the murky depths. In 1535, Guillermo di Lorena and Francesco di Marche visited Lake Nemi with hot new tech, a diving bell. They saw something that was far bigger than what they thought possible. It took fascism and another 394 years, but in 1929, Mussolini ordered that the entire lake would be drained. They used a modern pump along with an ancient Roman cistern that reduced the water level by 65 feet. Instead of one enormous ship, they found two, built especially for Emperor Gaius. While Caligula may not have been mad, he was a spendthrift. Records show that he emptied the Imperial treasury in a single year with extravagant games and spectacles. And these two floating pleasure palaces were enormously expensive. The largest, dubbed the prima nave, first ship, was a huge vessel, steered with oars 36 feet long. The second was a giant floating platform, complete with marble palaces, gardens, and a system of plumbing for baths. Seutonius described the sight of the ships, quote, 10 banks of oars, the poops of which blazed with jewels, filled with ample baths, galleries, and saloons, and supplied with a great variety of vines and fruit trees. Mussolini had a huge museum built in 1936 to house the wrecks so that the public could visit, but it wouldn't last. 8 years later, on the night of May 31st, 1944, Caligula's Nemi ships were burned, likely by retreating Nazis as they fled the advancing Allied troops. From one emperor's folly to another's.